Yeah, we should remind people, too, that if you put all these pieces together, what Joe's saying here is that Ukraine aid was there. Mike Johnson, a Republican, said, well, we got to take care of our own border first before we think about Ukraine. So a bipartisan group in the Senate did exactly that.
Led by James Lankford.
James Lankford got the most conservative immigration deal in generations. And it wasn't enough for Speaker Mike Johnson because Donald Trump told him not to take immigration off the table for the election. So with that, Gary Kasparov, we were commenting in our break that it does appear that the most, how should we say it, most vulnerable among our lawmakers seem to be the ones that are spouting all of this Russian propaganda. And it is so easy to track, I'm sure, for you when you hear Tommy Tuberville say something like, actually, the United States pushed Russia into this war with Ukraine. I think Putin's on top of his game, the words of Senator Tommy Tuberville and everything we've heard from Marjorie Taylor Greene. When you hear United States officials saying those things, what does it sound like to your ear?
I can't believe my ears. I grew up in a world where America was a formidable force. Love or hate, it was there. And what's happening now is just, it's for me and my European friends, is like the world is falling apart. And calling it disinformation is probably too generous. Outright lies. They don't even pretend to make it sound as real. So they're simply turning the world upside down. And of course, you know, they want Ukraine to lose. They're not hiding it. Unfortunately, administration is also not showing enough strengths. So the problem for Europeans, the way they see it, is you have feckless administration and then reckless Trump. And treacherous Republicans that are rooting for Putin to win. They're no longer hiding it. I mean, I don't know, not recognizing that Ukraine is not the last stop. You know, it's not Gary Kasparov saying, it's Putin is saying that. Putin's propaganda is saying that they're going to change the world. They are not attacking Ukraine. By the way, they're at war.
By the way, let's be very clear. He said after Ukraine, it will be Latvia, it'll be Lithuania, he's going to Poland. He's talked about Poland.
He doesn't have to say.
He's taking
he's not,
more.
They're at war with NATO. If you have to listen to Russian propaganda, they're not fighting Ukraine. Ukraine is American and NATO puppet. So that's why for them, winning war in Ukraine is showing that the West is a paper tiger. And of course, you know, next will be, you know, just it's one of the NATO countries. And the whole idea is to take revenge for the World War III. They thought the Cold War was World War III. They lost. And they are now in World War IV. While we're saying, oh, let's avoid World War III, Putin is already in World War IV now. Again, it's he's saying that, he keeps repeating it. And unfortunately, the way it's this thing's being conducted, he believes he's winning.
And Jonathan Lemire, the message that's sent to China, to President Xi, to Kim Jong-un in North Korea, unmistakable message, unmistakable. And this is what Republican chairmen and chairwomen in the House have said about their idiot backbenchers who are pro-Putin, saying, you're not just giving Putin Ukraine and Eastern and Central Europe, you're giving Xi Taiwan.
You know who else said this yesterday was Prime Minister Kishida of Japan, standing next to President Biden in the Rose Garden at a news conference, saying what happens in Ukraine could be a coming attraction as to what happens in the Taiwan Strait. And that's why Japan has been so involved in that effort as well. There's deep concern here that if the Republicans in the Congress, if they stand down, America can't help this ally, they won't help the next one either. And Ed Luce, President Biden in that news conference, he concluded it, in fact, by saying this Ukraine bill needs to come for a vote. This vote will pass. Put it on the floor. That's up to Speaker Johnson. Where's Speaker Johnson going tomorrow? He's going to Mar-a-Lago, and he's going to meet with Donald Trump. So what are your expectations when come out of this meeting? Just that there been a little momentum, a little optimism in recent days that some sort of Ukraine bill may go forward, this could easily be scuttled.
It could very easily be. The Foreign Secretary and former Prime Minister of Britain, David Cameron, went down to Mar-a-Lago to try to persuade Trump. As I sort of think of it, he brought fruits to the volcano. Didn't have any luck by the reports I've heard. I don't think Mike Johnson is going down there to talk about Ukraine because he knows what answer he would get. He's going to give a joint conference with Trump on election integrity, which I find very hard to say with a straight face. I think Johnson's now had 6 months. to show where he stands on the Ukraine issue. And all along, his instinct has been to feint, to pretend that he's trying to get a bill to the floor, but actually, in practice, stop a bill from getting to the floor, because he knows that he cannot supply Ukraine and please Trump. You cannot do both. That's a circle he cannot square. And if it comes to a choice, every time Mike Johnson will go for Trump. Just one last point. People refer to the Republican stance, the MAGA Republican stance, as isolationism. It's not. This is active pro-Russia interventionism.
So this is an important point that Ed Luce just made up, just stated. Angus King, when he dealt with the Secretary of Defense, invoked 1940, America First. What do you think is the motivation behind the Americans who are supporting Putin in this instance? Because we know what the issue is with Ukraine. We got that. But what do you think is actually behind this that leads folk to embrace Russia in the way they are embracing it?
It's a long story, and I think the parallels with 1940 probably may not be very accurate, because the balance of power in 1940 was not as is today.
Okay.
Don't forget, the Germany was too strong. Stalin was on German side. Japan was too strong. Italy was also controlled by fascists. Today, the free world has overwhelming military and economic advantage. And I think again, we're getting lazy. We're complacent on one side. But also, you have Donald Trump, and it's a very different view about America's role. Donald Trump is not hiding his agenda. He wants to make, not peace, but deals with Putin's of this world. And I can hardly explain how people in his party, some of them, but still minority, are openly arguing for Putin's interests, because you have to go it's all the way down the road. If Ukraine loses, then American lives will be on the line, because then or you have to walk away. But don't forget, America can fund the deficit because dollar is a reserve currency. Why dollar is a reserve currency? Because America is strong. If you sacrifice America's strength and walk away, a lot of people, China is there waiting, they say, why should we pay American debt? So America has no choice but to stay on top, or everything will fall down as house of cards.
Talk about last night's attacks in Ukraine.
Look, it's after Secretary Austin and some of the top officials talked about Ukraine, concerns about Ukraine attacking Russian refineries. Russia launched the most massive attack on the Ukrainian energy infrastructure. It's this, again, they use ballistic missiles, conventional ballistic missiles, not nuclear, but still ballistic missiles. It's the attack that has never happened before. And again, it's this, remember what Winston Churchill said back in 1946, there's nothing the Russians admire so much as strengths, and there is nothing they have for which they have less respect than weakness, especially military weakness. Unfortunately, the West projects weakness. It's not just America; it's Europe. Europe looks at America and says, "What will you do?" Russia has 10-1 advantage in shells, and the combined GDP of Ukrainian coalition versus Russia, Iran, North Korea, 25-1. So how come in the third year of the war, Ukraine still doesn't have resources to fight back Russian army? They made huge sacrifices, and they can beat Russians. They can win the war. They prove their heroism, but you can't beat them with no weapons. And now they're running low on even missiles to defend their cities, not just to attack.
Hey everyone, MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.